is that for what? 8 months, maybe a year. You've been studying out of this book. Maybe you haven't. But maybe you saw this thick book called Robert's Rules of Order, somewhere around 717 pages. Now, how many of you already got it booked? That's what I thought. Now, I gotta be honest here, gang. I've been studying and engaging in parliamentary procedure. The first time I was ever introduced to that book was as a junior in high school at Flowing Wells FFA in Tucson, Arizona. I've been studying that since about 1996. I'm old, okay? And I still don't have it booked. Every time I crack it open, there's a different way to learn and interpret. Did anybody hear the terms Robert's Rules of Order or parliamentary procedure at any point this summer in the news? Maybe? Maybe not. Maybe y'all don't watch some of those news cable broadcast shows. But there were a few things happening over the course of the past year or two where we were nominating candidates for president and people were talking about rules of order and the use of parliamentary procedure. I need you to know that this skill set, this knowledge, is something that you can use literally the rest of your life. And the reason I started by saying this is so important that you realize you're the future is because, quite frankly, you as leaders, and I'm putting this you on you, this is a responsibility, you as leaders are the caretakers of our democracy. I'm going to say this again when I get in front of the seniors on Wednesday, but you are the caretakers of democracy. Did y'all learn about principles of parliamentary procedure? I'm just curious. This is not being evaluated. No evaluation occurring. How many principles of parliamentary procedure are there? There are so many fundamentals. Does anybody know? This is fun. I'm getting to teach some here. Don't throw any off. Talking just general. There are so many principles of parliamentary procedure. Fundamental principles, the cornerstones of the entire book is written around. How many of them are there? Guesses? So I'm looking for a number. 4! Boom! How many? 4. That's lame. How many? 4. And so we look at those 4 principles. Do we know them? Does anybody want to pitch one out there? What do you think one is? Wow, we're trying to think here, get the blood going. You just took a test. There's 4 principles. What's one of them? One item at a time. Now we need 3 more. Majority rules. Now I need 2 more. Yes, sir. Courtesy to everyone. Courtesy to everyone. And protect the rights of the minority. You ever heard those? We've got majority rules, protect the rights of the minority, consider one item at a time, and extend courtesy to everyone. Can you imagine how much better all of our lives would be if we just followed those 4 principles? If every meeting, every debate, every interaction that we had just had those 4 rules of extending courtesy to everyone, of majority rules of protecting the rights of the minority, that everybody has a voice. And let's focus on one item at a time. I would almost call those 4 principles the bedrock of our democracy, of what it means to be an American. And you're studying a set of rules that allow us to come together to do that better. You are the next generation of city councilmen, school board members, leaders of county farm bureaus, state representatives. Good grief, potentially the next president of the United States could be sitting in this room. That'd be pretty awesome. And then you got to come back and speak to this event. Show your love for the blue and gold jackets. But you're a freshman. You're just starting. You don't have that book wolf. So I'm going to encourage you. And what I ask and hope is that while I try to meet as many of you as I can and talk to your teachers and you here today as a volunteer just showing up at this event, I hope that in a year, 2, and 3, I get to see you again, because you continued your studies and you've gone back and you've won that state championship in parliamentary procedure at your state, and you're up here representing your state at the parliamentary procedure leadership development event that starts on Wednesday. So I don't want you to think that all this work that you've done for this, that this is the culmination. This is the start of your parliamentary journey. And we keep studying, keep learning, keep practicing, keep applying, because you're the caretakers of our democracy. So, Mr. Gage, is Miss LaRose here?
Don't see her.
And Mr. Gage, what's the next item that we have on our agenda?
We're waiting for flights to come in. I'll add a little story. So, I had a pretty high-profile position this past year as a parliamentarian.
I'll tell him, because I don't want him to feel like he's bragging himself. This is pretty cool. Mr. Gage was the parliamentarian for the Republican National Convention.
A reporter asked me this year, what is the purpose of parliamentary procedure? And I said, it is to express the will of the majority while at the same time protecting the rights of the minority. What got printed in the paper was, parliamentary procedure exerts the will of the majority over minorities.
Oh my gosh.
Not exactly the same. A sitting U.S. Senator did accuse me of parliamentary witchcraft. I can't help it if I know the book better than him. Where did I learn it? Right here. I was shocked this year when American Institute of Parliamentarians came out with a survey showing that people were paying $3,000 a year. I left that out of the safety briefing, proving that you can't quote numbers like that. You might have neck injuries from the kids. But there is a career doing this. It's not a big career. I mean, there's not a lot of people that make their full-time living at it. But what's going to happen in that political or labor union or other convention that you're at when you're 35? Are you going to own the room, or are you going to be one of the followers? You're probably going to own the room. Because the skill set that you're going to get from FFA is going to put you up here. The skill set that you're going to get from parliamentary procedure is going to put you up here. And the general public can't compete. So that's just my little rah-rah speech. We're waiting for flights.
So add to that though, like we talk, I can see it in your eyes. It's funny. So when you're 35, you're like, oh, that's old. I'll never do it. Be here before you know it. Anyway, let's talk about immediate application though. I hope that as you gain new power and understanding because you begin to learn what emotion is, I encourage you never to use it in an abusive way. Never beat over the head of others in the meetings. Don't try to use it in a way that's not beneficial to your group or organization. Use it as a way to teach those that are in your groups. So when you go back and you're in your 4-H club, anybody in here in 4-H? Okay, awesome, yeah. Any of you on student council? Yeah. So when you go back to these, like next week, next month, this year, when you're in other groups and organizations, help. Don't say you're doing it wrong. Help. Teach them how so they can use part so you can have shorter, more effective meetings. Some of you might be chapter officers now or might aspire to that. When you go to your regularly scheduled chapter meetings for your FFA chapter, help them use it. Try to say, you know what, guys, we've learned this. Let's apply it in our meetings. Let's actually make sure that we're being a role model of how to use it. Okay? So it's real to me that you understand that this isn't just a contest. That this isn't just a thing that we come and do when we wear blue and gold jackets. That this is a leadership life skill that you can take back to your communities. Did anybody in here do a demonstration for a school board? A few? A few? Did anybody in here do a demonstration for another community group that was not associated with school, perhaps? Like a farm bureau or a civic, a Rotary, a Kiwanis, those kind of things. See, we can educate those around us to help make our organizations serve their purposes better. So that's why we love it. Well, I don't have more to share this morning.
Or attention to any matter which may possibly be presented. What is the first item of business which is presented at this time?
Mr. President,
Mr. Reporter.
I move that our reporters send chapter news by email to the parents of our FFA members.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that our reporter send chapter news by email to the parents of our FFA members. The floor is open for discussion.
Mr. President,
Madam Advisor.
I wish to speak against this motion.
Mr. President, I rise to a point of order.
Madam Secretary, state your point.
Mr. Reporter has first right to debate since he was the maker of the motion.
Your point is sustained. Mr. Reporter, you may begin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I propose this motion because I am the reporter, and I would be doing this, and I have plenty of time for this, and do not have anything else on my plate. So I think this would be a great idea to inform the parents about our FFA things. So please get behind me and pass this motion.
Mr. President,
Mr. Treasurer.
I strongly disagree with this motion because some of our parents, including mine, are not as tech savvy these days and do not know how to work their emails. So please help me and let's fail this motion.
Mr. President,
Madam Vice President.
I strongly disagree with the previous speaker who spoke against this motion. This is a great way to get news out to our parents. They often wonder what it is we've been doing in FFA all these years, and this would be a great way to show them. Therefore, I encourage you simply to adopt this motion.
Mr. President,
Madam Advisor.
I agree with the previous speaker who spoke against this motion. Some of our parents aren't technologically savvy, and I know that I myself tell my mother everything that I do in this beloved organization of ours, and our members should do the same as well, so we don't have to rely on technology as much for this. Therefore, I encourage everyone to vote in the negative.
Mr. President,
Madam Sentinel.
I agree with the maker of this motion. Today, our world is very technology advanced, and even though our parents do not have as great experience as we do, we can always sit by them and help them. Therefore, I encourage the Assembly to vote in favor of this motion. Mr. President,
Madam Secretary.
I wish to speak against this motion. As FFA officers, we're the leaders, and it's important to inform our members about current events happening. And not every FFA member has an email account. Therefore, we should defeat this motion.
Mr. President,
Madam Vice President.
I move to amend the motion by adding a word, and that pictures of our recent events taken by the reporter also be included.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to amend the motion by adding the words and that pictures taken recently by the reporter also be sent to our parents. The floor is open for discussion.
Mr. President,
Madam Vice President.
thank you, Mr. President. I propose this amendment because the reporter is duty bound to take pictures of our organization. This would be a great way to show our parents what we've been doing, and it would also make it much easier on them. This way they would be able to see things more easily. Therefore, I urge the Assembly to adopt this motion.
Mr. President,
Madam Advisor.
I move the previous question.
Second.
The previous question has been called for. All those in favor of the previous question, please rise. Thank you, be seated. Those opposed, please rise. Thank you, be seated. Being 1 for and 5 against, this not being a 2/3 majority vote in favor, the previous question is not called for. The motion still before the House is to amend the main motion by adding the words, and that pictures recently taken by the reporter be sent to the parents as well. The floor is open for discussion.
Mr. President,
Mr. Reporter.
I totally disagree with this amendment for the reason that my camera broke last week when I dropped it trying to take pictures of the cattle at our county fair. So I would not have a camera to take these pictures. So I think this is a terrible idea. Let's get behind me and fail this motion.
Mr. President,
Madam Sentinel.
I agree with the maker of this amendment. When everybody sees that we are now posting pictures, they will be willing to help us at our next event so that they will be also in the pictures. Therefore, I encourage the Assembly to vote in favor of this motion.
Mr. President.
Madam Advisor.
I wish to speak against this amendment. Most of our parents already check our website that already has the pictures on it, so we should not send them to again, or else it gets kind of redundant. Therefore, I encourage everyone to vote in the negative on this amendment.
Mr. President,
Mr. Treasurer.
I'm strongly against the adoption of this motion, seeing as though our reporter is loaded with work and will not have enough time to do both of these things, so we need to choose one or not do them at all. So please help me and let's fail this motion.
Mr. President,
Madam Secretary.
I strongly encourage an affirmative vote on this motion. We could demonstrate living discern by promoting agriculture. What better way as officers for us to get out there? Therefore, please help me pass this motion.
Are you ready for the question? The question is on the adoption of the motion to amend the motion by adding the words, and that pictures recently taken by the reporter be sent as well. All those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no.
No.
The ayes have it, and the amendment carries. The motion now before the House is that our reporters send chapter news by email to the parents of our FFA members, and pictures recently taken be sent as well. The floor is open for discussion.
Mr. President,
Mr. Treasurer.
I move to postpone the motion indefinitely.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to postpone indefinitely the motion that our reporters send chapter news by email to the parents of our FFA members, and that pictures recently taken be sent as well. The floor is open for discussion.
Mr. President,
Mr. Treasurer.
I propose this motion because this is a very controversial topic and there seems to be no right answer. Also, this motion has no merit. We do not know how we will do this and anything else. So please help me and let's pass this motion.
Mr. President,
Mr. Reporter.
I totally disagree with the motion to postpone. We can decide on this ourselves because we are the chapter officers, and we do not need to kill it. So we can decide on ourselves. So get behind me and vote the negative.
Mr. President,
Madam Vice President.
I strongly disagree with the proposer of this motion. As officers, we are duty bound to make tough decisions to benefit our organization. We need to step it up and perform our duties. I therefore urge the Assembly to fail this motion.
Are you ready for the question? The question is on the adoption of the motion to postpone this motion indefinitely. All those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no.
No.
The noes have it, and this motion is not postponed indefinitely. The motion still before the House is that our reporter send chapter news by email to the parents of our FFA members, and that pictures recently taken by the reporter will be sent as well. The floor is open for discussion.
Mr. President,
Madam Sentinel.
I strongly agree with this motion. Emails have been around for many years, and almost everyone has it. And the parents that work almost check their emails every day, so they will be up to date on all the activities that we do. Therefore, I encourage the Assembly to vote in the affirmative.
Mr. President,
Madam Advisor.
I wish to speak in the affirmative on this motion. After hearing the great points from our officers, I am certain that we are making the right choice when we do this. Therefore, I encourage everyone to vote in the affirmative.
To remain fair and impartial, is there any negative debate? The floor is still open for discussion.
Mr. President,
Madam Secretary.
I wish to speak in favor of this motion. We did this last year for the 4-H, and it was a huge success. Not only did we get out the word, but we encouraged non-members of the FFA to come join. Therefore, please help me pass this motion.
Are you ready for the question? The question is on the adoption of the motion that our reporters send chapter news by email to the parents of our FFA members, and that pictures recently taken by the reporter be sent as well. All those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no.
No.
The ayes have it, the motion carries, and our reporter will send chapter news by email to the parents of our FFA members, and pictures recently taken will be sent as well. Madam Secretary, do you have a record of any further business which should now be transacted?
I have none, Mr. President.
Does any member know of any guests? Join me in a salute to our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the...
Here first. Here we go. Explain the procedure for you as chairman when a division of the assembly is demanded by a member at an FFA meeting with 33 members attending.
When a member calls for a division of the assembly, the chair states that we will not proceed with a more accurate vote, and a rising vote is taken and counted.
Okay? If the vote appears close when a division of the assembly is taken, can the chairman count the vote?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. President,
Ma'am?
I have a two-part question for you. The first part is, how long is a made motion killed if the motion to postpone indefinitely is adopted?
For the duration of the session.
All right, and the second part, what is the only motion that the motion to postpone indefinitely can be applied to?
The main motion.
Thank you.
Ma'am?
If there are 17 members at an FFA chapter meeting and 12 members cast a vote on the privileged motion to recess, what would be the minimum number that would cast a vote in the affirmative to adopt it?
7.
Thank you.
Mr. Treasurer,
Sir.
here we go. Two questions, sir. Which FFA officer is responsible for presiding over meetings according to the accepted rules of parliamentary procedure?
The President.
Question 2. Which FFA officer is responsible for assuming all duties of the president if necessary?
The Vice President.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Rivera,
Ma'am,
name for me two debatable and amendable subsidiary motions that the privileged motion to
repeat the question, ma'am?
Name please two debatable and amendable subsidiary motions that the privilege motion to recess takes precedence over.
An amendment. Postpone indefinitely.
Signal.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the purpose of a parliamentary inquiry?
The purpose of a parliamentary inquiry is to obtain parliamentary information.
Last but not least, Madam Advisor.
Sir,
Here we go. Your question relates to privilege motions. Okay, here we go. Name one privilege motion that is amendable.
recess.
Question 2. Name one privilege motion that may interrupt an FFA member who is speaking.
Raise a question of privilege.
Thank you, Madam Advisor. Texas, thank you so very much. You may please be seated.